What is going on, you guys? Once again, I'm here to talk about the Super Bowl. Doesn't matter who's in it. I usually will talk about the Super Bowl regardless of who's playing. So, if you're new to the program, what I'll do is I'll talk about one team, I talk about the other team, and then I will give you my prediction and what I really think will happen and what I want to happen. So, without further ado, here is one of the team's previews. So first off, we have the Denver Broncos, a team that really they started so well with their record, but they weren't playing great. They really haven't played as great all season, with the exception of one side of the ball. First of all, we know that Peyton Manning did not have an MVP type of season, nowhere close. I think even Broncos fans were concerned about how he was playing and thought it was better to bench him and move on and get Brock Osweiler, groomed per se, because offensively they were hard to watch. Demaryius Thomas did not have exactly a good year. Running the ball, I mean, they're okay, they're all right, but sometimes, but the Broncos offensively just weren't there compared to what you expect from a Peyton Manning type of team. I think we learned that maybe Adam Gase is a little bit more valuable than we all thought. I think it's easy to say any coach who coached Peyton Manning makes it easy, but Adam Gase definitely showed his value the previous year. So offensively, they were harder to watch, but defensively, they were the top team. I believe it was either they were the number 1 or number 2 defense in the league. So having that said, their defense carried them to where they were. Their record was today. I think they really didn't look impressive, but then some of the teams that were thought to be contenders for the AFC West either had a bad start or they just weren't good enough. I think obviously the Chargers had higher expectations than being the bottom dwellers, and the Chiefs had that slow start, but of course they ended the season on a hot streak, but too little too late. The Broncos were the better team as a whole and as a season. So defensively, you got to give credit to Wade Phillips, former Dallas Cowboys coach. That guy really had them up, and there were two, of course, corners. One was undrafted, the other one was a big free agent signing. Now, we don't think of Kansas Jayhawks football as really relevant, but the two best Kansas Jayhawks in the league right now are Aqib Talib and Chris Harris, and they're both in Denver. So both those guys have been a big reason why they are where they are. I've been a little skeptical of them offensively, but it didn't matter because they were the 1 seed. They got their bye week. They were able to refocus, regroup. And then they limped against the Steelers. But then against the Patriots, Peyton Manning had the best game of the season. Ignoring everything else, he had the best game of the season right when he needed to. So it worked. The guy, Peyton Manning, despite everything, was able to recover and play when he needed to. So got to give credit where credit is due. With all the scrutiny, and this could very well be his last game coming up. But I actually thought Osweiler, they were going to stick by him even after the Week 17 struggles, and they forced Peyton Manning back in. I understand it, but they do need to. Luckily, Osweiler has been groomed for the long run for them, and they got to work on that. So Kubiak takes over for John Fox, and suddenly he leads them to the Super Bowl. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. On the flip side, we have the Carolina Panthers. This is a team that's really been an interesting rise, to say the least. Ron Rivera took over for, once again, John Fox. They drafted Cam Newton first overall, and I thought that pick was going to be a bust. I thought Cam Newton was going to be like a 1 or 2 year wonder, and then teams would adjust to him. But no. Yeah, the guy proved me wrong. I'm going to eat some crow when it's not even a video for that. So Cam Newton has definitely been the man for them, and he's been big. He's been making plays like he's needed to, and really, I've been impressed with the guy. After all the things I said negatively about him when he was drafted, I think he obviously used that as motivation. Probably a lot of people thought the way I did. And he's proven to be a great quarterback because his resources were very thin at the start of the year. First, before we go talking about Cam Newton, the first couple of years, Ron Rivera looked like a mediocre 500 type of coach in 2011, 2012. They were conservative, they were competitive, but they looked like a 500 team. And as a result, some close calls and some conservative calls learned to bite them. And that's when, in 2013, we had something called Riverboat Ron, which started. I don't think he's as heavy of a gambler like people make it out to be, but he did learn to be bold in the middle of the year. There was one specific game in 2013 against the Buffalo Bills where they lost a close one and they looked like the same old Panthers. But after that, Ron Rivera became bold. And if you're a Cal fan, of course you know he was part of the Cal Bears of the 1982 play. So, little fun history trivia there. But yes, Ron Rivera became a little bit more bold. They had a better defense. Their foundation was built up with the help of Luke Kuechly. And suddenly their defense became a lot better. I remember in 2013 they had a lot of guys that looked like no-namers, looked like guys you may not have seen. I mean, even former Raiders safety Michael Mitchell was there in 2013 and was serviceable at one point. But yeah, fast forward, in 2014 they had a bunch of injuries, yet they still won the division because the Falcons underachieved. And then suddenly now they go 15-1. A lot of close games went their way. A lot of defense has been a big reason why they're in it, but also Cam Newton has carried the team on his back with guys that are, some of the weapons and resources he has been very limited. A lot of people thought this team was going to be so-so. They're going to be good, above average. When Kelvin Benjamin was out for the year, I thought, okay, Cam does not have a lot of weapons. He's going to be hurt. He's going to have to carry the team alone, and he did that. But I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought he was going to get sacked. His line was going to be ugly. And all these other intangibles, I thought that the team was going to take their fall, per se, a big fall. But in the end, though, Cam Newton's made those plays. They won a handful of close games at the wire. They've done a very good job at that. Of course, their most recent game, they took care of business against the Arizona Cardinals and blew them out. And really, that game against the Seahawks was a blowout. I know we can talk about two halves and how the game was closer, but 31-0 after a half, you know what this team is capable of doing. Defense being a big reason why they are where they are. And Rivera being a defensive coach, it always helps. It always helps they got that foundation going up. And then, of course, you have that top cornerback, Norman, I believe. That guy's been the man for them as well. He's emerged as one of the best corners in the game. So, yeah, I had a lot of credit to the Panthers. I didn't think they were going to be contending this year. I thought they could have won the division, but I didn't think they were going to be 15-1 and just. I wouldn't say they steamrolled everyone, but they were winning a lot of those games, and Cam Newton was a big reason for it. So, where do I call this game, and where do I see this going? One, I obviously am rooting for the Panthers. I think we all know why. If I'm not rooting for the Panthers, you're not a Raider fan, obviously. So, I get that out of the way. Second of all, the whole thing that I see in this game is that it'll be low scoring and defensive. Of course, anything could happen. I could be completely wrong. It could be a high scoring affair. But I just don't see the Broncos defense giving up a lot of points. Even the Cam Newton. I think the Broncos defense is going to keep it low. And I think the Panthers defense can keep Peyton Manning low as well. So this kind of goes outside the box, almost similar to how Peyton Manning won his only Super Bowl with the Colts. It was kind of an ugly, anticlimactic affair. I mean, Rex Grossman was there, and I know Peyton Manning beat Rex Grossman, but he didn't exactly have the greatest season that year, and he still won the Super Bowl in a season where he's not an MVP and didn't tear it up. Similar situation here. He had probably one of his worst seasons ever this past year, and suddenly his team is in the Super Bowl mostly because of the defense being one of the best. And so either way, I don't see this being high scoring. I think it'll be very low, very run oriented. Sure, there will be some passes. I would not be surprised if like a defensive touchdown happens, or the defense sets up a touchdown, or field position because of a turnover. This game is built for the defense. I think Luke Kuechly and Von Miller are going to be the big players of this game. Of course, yeah, I said the defense has carried mainly the Broncos, and the defense has been very respectful for the Panthers. So I think the Broncos win this. I don't want to say that, but I already said before. It reminds me of how Peyton Manning's only Super Bowl win against the Bears was, and it'll be weird, anticlimactic, low scoring. So I'm going to say Broncos win 21-17. It's going to be it's going to be one of those ugly affairs. Just not a lot of points on the board. I could see a lot of punting. I like defense, but I don't want to see the Broncos get another ring. But if it happens, it happens. It would suck, but I'll get over it like anything else. So the Panthers, I do believe the Panthers have what it takes. I'm not writing them off. I know they're the favorite by the Vegas odds because of their blowout wins combined with their better record, but the Broncos' defense has been something special. When you hold Tom Brady to all those turnovers on downs, and you take a strong stand on the Patriots like they did, something has to be accounted for that. And I think whenever you're stopping the Patriots in that kind of fashion, I think the Broncos have what it takes. I know some are going to say the NFC is better as a whole, and I get that. And also, the Broncos' defense is better as a whole. Unlike 2 years ago, where they just had a top offense against a bad AFC, this defense, I think, is very capable of stopping an NFC defense. I don't buy some of the other things about these teams. So we'll see. I could be wrong, and I hope to be wrong. I obviously want the Panthers to win. And I know some people will say, hey, at least there's another team with a Super Bowl without the Chargers. That's not named the Chargers if the Panthers pull this off. So we'll see. I know, depending on the team you're rooting for, if you're a fan of an NFC South team that's not the Panthers, I'm assuming you want the Broncos. A lot of people don't like Peyton Manning, and I know there's always that factor too. But I think everyone was happy the Patriots aren't in, and I know that was the other big deal, quote unquote. So let me know what y'all think. Give me your score prediction. I said 21-17 Broncos. What do you guys have? I'll see you guys later.